Hey, I'm Dr. Greg Watlington with ETSU Kingsport Family Medicine Physicians. I just want to say thank you to Kevin and Beth for having us come down here to give you guys a lecture. We're really happy to do it, and we love doing it. So today we'll be talking about kind of a disease that is pretty near and dear to my heart, sleep apnea. It's very important, and I hope this is informative, brief and sweet, but at least kind of like helps out a little bit, understand kind of what we're dealing with here. All right, so we'll start out. What is sleep apnea? Is it narcolepsy? Is it just being downright tired all the time? My dad used to say that he was just narcoleptic, and he would just fall asleep whenever at work on the couch or something like that, which never really sounded right to me, but it turns out he had some sleep apnea. So what is the sleep apnea? So sleep apnea, it's when you stop breathing at night while you're sleeping. And it's caused due to the tissues in the inside of your mouth relax at night, obstructing your airway. So just like you relax when you go to sleep, that's what the back of your mouth does. And when that happens, when those little muscles relax, it kind of obstructs how you breathe, and you quit breathing at times. This can happen multiple times a night, and this can keep you from getting a restful sleep. Why we get concerned about this as doctors and stuff is this can cause a lot of long-term damage to your brain and your heart, because you're going without oxygen for brief periods of time, and so your brain is having to wake you up and stimulate your heart. Your heart rate goes up because you're not getting much oxygen. So you do this multiple times a night over many, many years, this is going to cause a lot of extra damage. And one of the best treatments for this is the CPAP machine, which everyone has kind of seen one, heard one, tried one at least once, and hate it. But when you do it, you can get over kind of the threshold, it is definitely worth it. So kind of more on why we should take sleep apnea seriously. There's quite a few people that have sleep apnea. There's some famous people. Carrie Fisher, she recently passed away. She was one of Princess Leia from Star Wars, the daughter of Debbie Reynolds. She really was probably a drug overdose, but taking special medications when you have untreated sleep apnea increase your risk of having an accident with sleep apnea. Now this is pretty extreme example of it, but just some examples. So how is sleep apnea diagnosed? So when you go see your primary care doctor, they will ask you some questions. Has anyone heard you snore or quit breathing while you sleep? Do you fall asleep through movies? Do you fall asleep while driving? If you fall asleep while driving, there's people that have severe sleep apnea, and there's a lot of accidents. But sometimes it's just falling asleep while you're in the car. Like, you don't fall asleep while driving, but if you're riding in a car more than 5 or 10 minutes, you'll fall asleep. Do you wake up with headaches and dry mouth? Do you feel tired during the day? That's probably most people in general, so it's not the best question, but it can be it could be a symptom of sleep apnea. Other important ones are overweight, having a large neck, and being a male. So us guys got the bad end of the stick on that one. So what's next? So the primary provider will order a sleep study test. All right, so there's 2 different types. One that you can take home, and you wear a little machine, and it looks at your oxygen, and it will look at your heart rate, and it will count how many times you quit breathing in an hour. Now this one's not quite as good as the test, and most people don't end up doing it because you fall asleep and you knock off the wires and it doesn't work. So what most people do is end up going to an actual facility where they will watch you with a camera. I know it sounds a little creepy, but it's the best way to do it. And they will watch you through the night and see how many times you quit breathing. And then they can tell pretty accurately how bad your sleep apnea is, or if you don't have sleep apnea at all and you just kind of have restless leg syndrome. That can be sometimes a thing. How is sleep apnea treated? The mainstay treatment is CPAP machine. Well, I don't want to wear that CPAP machine. It never worked for me. So here are the other options. They're not the greatest option, but weight loss is a pretty good option. Some people can actually fix their sleep apnea even a little bit with some weight loss. Now there's these mouth appliances that they also make. That's like a little mouth guard that you wear at night, keeps your mouth open. They can work some of the time, but there's a pretty high fail rate where it's like 30% fail, like 30% even working. And then they also leave you with a sore jaw at the end of the night. And one of the more radical ones are surgery. And those are pretty gruesome, where you end up having to have surgery on your jaw. It has to be kind of like wired shut for a couple months till it heals. So unfortunately, that's about the best we have, but it is well worth it. It's well documented how great CPAP machine works. Let's get on to it, the dreaded sleep apnea machine. Here it is. This is actually the one I use. So right here on the left is the machine. That's the main machine. And that little clear thing on the right is the water reservoir. So you fill that up every night with distilled water, and then you put it in the machine. And then at night when you're ready to use it, you just click the start button at the top and it does all the work for you. It's actually pretty cool. And here on the right is the mask and the hose attachment. So the hose attaches to the back of it, and the mask has like a headgear that you wear around your head, and you adjust it with your primary sleep apnea person, whoever you get your supplies through. They go to great lengths to fit your mask to your face and getting it comfortable. Because if it's not comfortable, you're going to want to take it off at night. So that's basically all it is. It's pretty simple. What are the common problems and complaints with the CPAP machine? I feel like I'm suffocating. Someone's smothering me with a pillow. My mouth dries out. The machine is too loud. The mask doesn't fit. Insurance took it away because I wasn't using it. So I feel like I'm suffocating. Okay, since I'm someone that has sleep apnea, I understand. I thought being kind of younger, being in med school when I got diagnosed, that I was not gonna complain about anything. I was gonna put it on every night and just go straight into it. Well, it was actually pretty difficult. I could only wear it 15 minutes at a time. And that was after 2 weeks. And so I was like, man, this is really difficult. So what I ended up doing is I kept with it. You do short periods of time. You go try to keep it on for an hour, take it off and go back to sleep. Try to go for 2 hours though. You want to keep trying until eventually you can get a whole night's sleep. And once you start sleeping through the night with it, you will sleep better than you ever have in your whole entire life. You will not want to sleep without it ever again either. Because you'll start having those symptoms again of sleep apnea, headache, feeling tired. You might not realize it now because you've always lived with it. If you go long periods of time without using it, you won't even notice it. So here's another common one, my mouth dries out. Well, the newer CPAP machines actually have a coil on the hose that actually humidifies. That's what that water is in there. And it humidifies the air. And so it has settings that you can actually put warm air through the mask, and it keeps your mouth good and moist throughout the night. The machine is too loud. I think everyone's worried about this, especially people that are with you in the bedroom. Actually, the newer machines are pretty quiet. They're definitely a lot quieter than you snoring through the night. So the mask doesn't fit and it leaks. This is really one of the most difficult things with CPAP masks. It does take a long time to kind of figure out how to adjust them, and the mask parts do wear out after time. The headgear stretches, and so you have to adjust it every week or so. The mask rim around the mask that makes the seal wears out after about a month. So you need to get a new mask about every month. Insurance took away my machine because I wasn't using it. Unfortunately, this is what insurance companies do. CPAP machines are very expensive, so it's really difficult for us just to buy them by ourselves, so we usually end up having to get insurance to buy it for us. But insurance doesn't want to pay for it if you're not using it. So you have to wear it a certain amount of hours a night over the month to get to keep it. And so it's very important that you keep with it, even if it's the minimum. I think the minimum is like maybe 4 hours a night. And the thing about these new CPAP machines is they actually record how much you use it, when you turn it on, when you turn it off. It will even automatically upload it to your sleep test person. So they know how much you're using it or not using it. But at the end of the day, it is worth it. This is me when I first got diagnosed, and I have my mask on here at the sleep center trying it out. That was midway through medical school, so I was way happier then. I think that's all I have for you guys. Please, if you have any questions, ask your doctor about it. And sleep well out there. Thank you so much for having me.